All right, everyone, we've reached Friday. This is the final morning briefing of the week from the Celtic Way. It's been a really fun week, guys. The buzz is still going on, isn't it? Like, can I just check both of your buzzes? Because it's still going on, isn't it? From Wednesday night. I mean, I feel like I'm just so happy that I support this club. I'm always happy I support this club, but even more so now the way the team are playing.
Yeah, to go all only an excuse and Paul McStay, there is a buzz about the place, isn't there? Correct, and you're not coming down from the ceiling at this moment in time. Sunday can't come quick enough. Yeah. And there'll be changes on Sunday, but it still doesn't give you the fear the way it maybe used to in years gone past. Because there are hungry players ready to step in and do a job as well. And that's no disrespect to Falkirk. We now have the strength and depth that Celtic can rotate various players. But yeah, I think Wednesday was something that every Celtic supporter had waited for a very long time. The nature of that win and the way the team played. And I said your overwhelming emotion from it. You were just proud of the manager and proud of the players. And you just want to see where they can take it and where it can go. And I don't think... I think the buzz will last a lot longer this season. I think you'll just... the games can't come quick enough now. They can't roll around quick enough. And you're just confident in whatever set of players is put out on that part, they can produce.
Yeah, Ryan, where's your buzz on a scale of not buzzing to buzzing?
Yeah, I'm, to be honest, I've been pretty buzzing the full season ever since pre-season began, and we watched the way that this 2.0 Rodgers side was going to play football. Really, really high press, causing teams to make mistakes. You've seen the same things that happened against Man City and Chelsea that happened just a couple of nights ago against Slovan Bratislava. So there's that consistency. You see that in Europe. You see that domestically as well. I was doing the stats bomb report yesterday that's on the website, and the numbers were akin to like a Ross County or a Hearts Hibs game. 60% possession, 18 shots, 11 of them on target. You've got to be doing a bit better there. I think they should have had more than 5 goals, even though their XG was 3.7 or something like that. So they outperformed that, but they had those chances that they probably should have taken. Just so many positives from Wednesday night, and I just hope that gets brought into the weekend. I think there'll be wholesale changes, as we spoke about before we even came onto this show, but there's still that buzz about the place, as Tony was talking about. Everything's in a good place. The manager's clearly on top at the moment. He's feeling feeling the main man at Celtic. I don't think there's any awkwardness anymore. And I think now we're just looking forward to every game that comes, regardless of who it's against, whether it's in the League Cup, Champions League or Scottish Premiership. It's something to look forward to. I wasn't exactly saying that last season, because every game that came around, you were like, are Celtic going to turn up in this fixture? Or more importantly, what Celtic were going to turn up in that fixture? But it just seems as if they're on the right path. They're playing well. The manager's doing his thing in press conferences and on the touchline as well. And yeah, so many positives to go around Celtic. You talk about the financial situation that was addressed earlier on this week or last week. They're just in such a good position both on and off the park. As I said yesterday, these are special times indeed to be following or covering Celtic at the moment, and long may it continue, to be honest.
Hopefully, Mark, thanks for the donation, and he says we're winning the lot.
That might be the Champions League in that.
Yeah, well, that is the lot, isn't it, Tony?
I was worried that Celtic's second place spot was going to go last night at half time in that Feyenoord by a Leverkusen game, because once they start, they're really difficult to stop. Jeremy Frimpong with 2 brilliant assists in the first half, but Celtic are still there, just about in second place in that table. As Brendan Rodgers says, we play Bayern Munich in the final.
How many times have you guys looked at the league table over the past 24 hours? I go on X, as it's called now, every hour or so, and search for the Champions League and just put it up on my screen and just stare at it.
Well, what? Yeah, listen, you've got to enjoy these moments, Hamish, while you can. The nights like Wednesday are for enjoying and telling people and grandkids and relatives in years to come, you were there. And, I don't know if you spoke about it yesterday, but the crowd on Wednesday night were unbelievable. I knew they would be, but, you had lots of people on X or Twitter, whatever it's called now, praising it. During the walk-on and the Champions League theme, people saying they've never heard noise like it, but we've heard noise like it. We spoke about that 2 minutes of Champions League music, that primal scream where the fans just go absolutely wild, isn't it? Very few venues where the supporters do that. And lots of people were comparing it last night when they saw various other stadiums and fans behaving when the Champions League music was on. But Celtic Park, there's always a sense of occasion in the Champions League because we don't take it for granted, and it is. It's one of the best. It's arguably the best arena in European football on a night like that. And you had the feeling when you woke up on Wednesday morning, we were reluctant to go overboard, but you just felt there was something special in there. You felt it in your bones. I know I did. And our scoreline predictions were probably conservative because you felt that if everything went to plan, as the manager would say, that a night like that was in the offing and on the cards. And as you say, the Slovan Bratislava, people try to take the gloss off it by saying they're the lowest ranked team. That's how you treat lowest ranked teams in the competition. You give them a doing.
But not every team will treat them like that, Tony. In this tournament, I guarantee you, Slovan Bratislava won't lose all their matches.
Yeah, but because they've came through 4 qualifiers, so they've got something about them. They've got a bit about them. So, so you have to take the highs when you get them. And that was as complete a performance at Parkhead as you've seen from a Celtic team in Europe in a long time. It's been a long time coming. And you're excited about this and where it can go. And as I say, Ryan was there and he'll tell you about the atmosphere, but there is no better atmosphere under the floodlights on a Champions League night than Celtic. But there's very few to rival. Maybe Dortmund are up there, Signal doing a part with the yellow wall, stuff like that, and that's where Celtic head next. So, but I was looking last night at Atalanta, Bergamo, and I kind of looking at that and thinking it's okay. And other, maybe look at other stadiums and fans, during these kind of matches, but it's something special. And the other night was something special, and I think you have to enjoy it and enjoy looking at the league table. You see the Champions League table and smile because it's a nice thing, and we all like nice things, don't we? It's a good thing, so let's enjoy it.
We've had enough bad times in Europe, so I'm going to sit and enjoy this for the next 2 weeks because that's how long it will probably last. In all likelihood, we're not going to be second after Dortmund. We're going to be first. Nah, I don't know. Maybe we'll wait and see. What the point I was going to make was the fans were brilliant on Wednesday night, and I think when you go forward, the atmosphere has been good. It's always good in Champions League nights, but previously looking at like last season and kind of the year before as well, there was always a feeling of dread there deep down, a bit of an insecurity that we kind of knew how these nights were going to end. I think now the support are going to have confidence. I know it was Slovan Bratislava. We beat one of the poorer teams, but it was the way we beat them and the way we played. And I think the support come match day 4 when Leipzig are in town, regardless of how our next 2 matches go. My thought in these next 2 matches, guys, I don't know if you agree, anything we pick up is a bonus. I'm kind of thinking we'll probably struggle to pick up anything from the games, and I'll be very delighted, very pleased if we do manage to pick up any points. Worst case scenario, though, you're going into that match day 4 game against a good team in Leipzig, but at Celtic Park, our ground. And I think the support, even if we lose our next 2 games, the support are going to be amazing for that game as well, because I just feel like there's more confidence there now, Ryan.
Yep, and I think that Celtic RB Leipzig is going to be an aesthetically pleasing game as well, because both teams like to play good football. It's not the first time that Celtic will have met up against or went up against Marco Rosa, who has a bit of a history with Celtic. I remember after the game, particularly when he was at Salzburg and he had the Celtic scarf on and all that. He's a very good manager who's doing a good job with RB Leipzig. You got to remember where they've come from. I know that they are Red Bull funded, but the growth that they've had in the past 10 years, they're a pot 1 side, and they made their debut in the Champions League only about 6-7 years ago, if even that. So they're really a team that do well. They'll be coming with arguably one of the form strikers in the world at the moment, in Benjamin Sesko, who looks like an incredible young player at 20. But he's got to deal with Liam Scales and Cameron Carter-Vickers or Austin Trusty. Really? That's the thing on the flip side. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the other two games, Dortmund and Atalanta, because who knows, with Brendan Rodgers at the helm, you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe the times are changing. Maybe Celtic can get something away from home. Maybe this is just the start of something special under Rodgers, where he can actually make Celtic a bit of to make Celtic themselves a bit of a fortress away from home and hit teams on the counter attack. I watched another team do it 2 years ago against Borussia Dortmund. I'd quite like to see a bit of Celtic doing that at the Westfalen Stadium. I know they'll be coming up against a better Dortmund side than was there that night. Of course, Haaland was injured. Bellingham was trying to pull all the strings himself that night. I remember watching that game specifically. But who knows? You go into these games, you're in it to win it. And if they go out and play their own game and hit Dortmund on the counter-attack, not that I'm saying that they'll have a lot of the ball, because I think Dortmund will probably dominate possession. But who knows? Anything can happen in these games. Strange results happen. They happen all over Europe. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to the next game, but I'm going to bask in the sort of glory of what Celtic did on Wednesday, because I thought they were sublime, but I think they can get even better, to be honest, as well, which is the most exciting part.
Let's put it this way, Hamish, it doesn't frighten you, does it? Going to Dortmund and Atalanta.
No,
see somebody says you're going to play the Champions League runners-up and the Europa League winners before you go into, before the draw's made, you'd be like, oh no, you'd be dreading it. You're not dreading it with this team and this manager. And I'm not saying that equates to getting points on your travels, but I tell you what, you're a hell of a lot more confident than you've ever been about going on your travels and possibly taking something. And I think that might be other clubs' downfall. They might underestimate Celtic because they still think they're playing a Farmers League. You know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you what, that's good. Love that. Keep that chat, Keep thinking we're playing a Farmers League, and we might surprise you. Might give somebody a bloody nose in this competition. Keep speaking about it, that recalibration, that new mindset, new Celtic. It's what you're seeing. It's what you saw from the start of pre-season. It's what the manager told you before. He maps it out. He tells you things. Sometimes he's cryptic, sometimes he's not. But he's been telling you this. These guys have been working on this since the start of pre-season, and they'll be working on a plan to combat Dortmund in the next one. Whether it comes to fruition or not, we'll see. But I certainly think that these guys believe that they're up to that task and they can go there and hold their own. And as I say, it might not guarantee any points, but I don't think you'll see the Celtic of old getting turned over in any of these Champions League games now. I think they'll be ferociously and fiercely competitive. And that's all the Celtic fans have ever wanted for Celtic at this level. And if they can, claim some scalps along the way. Yeah. It'd be great to claim the scalp of the beaten Champions League finalists last year in their own backyard. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I can't wait for the game already, and it's only a couple of weeks away, guys. Henrik McClarson wondering about our Champions League games being played Wednesday, Thursday now with Europa League on following weeks. No, it's a one-off, basically. What UEFA have done is they're giving each of the three tournaments an exclusive match week, where there's none of the other tournaments have been played that midweek. So that was the Champions League's one and only there. That's why the games are over 3 days. The Europa League's is next week. So it's only the Europa League on next midweek. And I think the Conference League have their final week of matches is their kind of solo week. Don't know when that is, maybe December. But other than that, for us, it will be Tuesday or Wednesday matches. Thursday will be Europa League going forward. And the final match day is a Wednesday. All 36 teams playing at once. Guys, that is going to be a hectic Wednesday. The goal show is going to struggle that night, especially when we're scoring for fun against Villa.
Yeah, just a bit of a side note. I've heard that they've butchered the goal show as well.
I've heard
It's
that
not
as well,
good as I read one of your former colleagues, John, was talking about the goal show, and they said that they've wasted that. Why can't we have nice things? Is what I would say. Bring back the BT Sport goal show with Raphael and the rest of them, and James Richardson. That was the peak. But I'm not going to get into that too much. As long as Celtic are scoring goals, I don't mind where the other goals come from, to be honest, and they're getting results.
That was a nice thing on Wednesday night. Enjoy it. Bask in that magic.
Yeah.
Roll on Sunday.
Yes. Brian has us winning every match in Scotland for the rest of the season. Wow, Brian. That's there's
We're on track at the moment.
We'll just let that one sit, Brian. I don't mind it, I'll be honest. And Pete saying complacency is the only enemy we need to fear domestically. Right, Thomas asking us big changes for Sunday. What do you reckon, Tony?
Yeah, has to be, doesn't there? You now have the depth of squad where you can rotate the players, and that's all it is. It's rotation, and I believe the manager will be saying to certain players, "You're playing in this game. You're playing in this game," and I think he'll have briefed the boys that are going to come in. I would very much expect to see the likes of Trustys and Valier and Bernardo coming back in. I think Ida will lead the line. I think it's prudent, isn't it? It makes sense. And you still feel that those players who come in with a point to be a bit hungry, to say to the manager, I'm going to challenge for a first team place and I'll show you why when I get my opportunity on Sunday. And Falkirk's the ideal game to do that. But you have to respect Falkirk and what they've done so far. And you're in a match on Sunday. It's not just because of what happened on Wednesday night. It's not going to be a walkover. You have to earn the right to beat teams the way Celtic did on Wednesday night, and Falkirk are no different. They're just the next one. But you feel that the manager will rotate. I just think it's a sensible policy that's why you bought players and you have that strength and depth, so that when games like this roll along, you say to guys, right, rotated, rested, call it what you like, but because it's a long season, you're now fighting on 4 fronts, or you will be, and you'll need every member of that squad that you have at your disposal. And I expect to see some, as you say, in the strap line there, some wholesale changes, because I think it's right. I think they should do that, and you're not going to have many opportunities as a Celtic manager to do that, but the manager now in situ has the luxury of doing that. I think it'd be wise to give matches to the likes of the players that I've listed there.
Obvious alert, but the main thing for me on Sunday is winning the match. It's getting through the next round. We went out of this cup last year. With that in mind, I would make changes. I wouldn't make 9, 10, 11 changes. I think that just kind of disrupts your flow. I think there's certain players that I still want to be in the team. I know you guys maybe hold back in your teams. I'll give you my team right now. So I would actually go Schmeichel. I know there might be chat about Sinazala. We can discuss that. I'm just making a number of changes, and I would want Schmeichel maybe just to be there. I would go Ralston. I would go Trustys and Scales. I would give CCV the day off, or have him on the bench. I'd go Valle at left back. So it's quite a lot of changes in my back line. I think 3 changes there. Scales the only one staying, so that's why I'd keep Schmeichel. Midfield, I'd have McGregor. I'd play Engels again because he's just playing so well, and I'd put Bernardo in. I'd have James Forrest on the right. I'd have Maida on the left, and I'd have Ida through the middle. So that's Ralston, Trustys, Valle, Bernardo, Forrest, and Ida. So I think that's 6 changes.
See, for me, I'm in 2 minds, because I'm like, I would like to see wholesale changes, because this is a great opportunity to put some people in. I think apart from Schmeichel and McGregor, I think you could change every other position and it'd still be a strong team. Even put Palmer on the left. And
who would you put
Forrest
in midfield then?
I'd put McGregor, Bernardo, and maybe even Odin Thiago home. I know he's been kind of out of the squad. But I think if you're wanting to have a good look at him and see if he's progressed, then he could play in the attacking midfield. He could play in any of the three positions, to be honest. I'd just like to see a bit more of him. I think he could change. I think he could make wholesale changes and the team wouldn't be necessarily weakened. I just think it's a pressure game for those players that are coming in to make a name for themselves and really push into it. I think it could have a positive effect on the team if you make those wholesale changes, and then these players come in knowing that they have to make a good performance in that game, or they won't be in the starting lineup for the St Johnstone game in just under a week's time. So as much as I don't think it'll be 9 changes, I think there still will be some continuity. I agree with you in the fact that Engels probably will still play because he is on top form at the moment. I would quite like to see those wholesale changes because it's a great opportunity to do so. And if Celtic are in a bit of a struggle, then they can bring those players off the bench. I just want to see those players get given that opportunity and in a pressure situation, because I think it'll force the team to play well because they know that their position's under threat, or they'll be back out of the team if they don't play well.
A few people asking about Sine Zalo. When would you play him if not this weekend? You've got the Scottish Cup ties as well. It might make a bit more sense at that stage of the season. He'll have been there for 6 months at that stage. I'm not against Sine Zalo at all. Fair chance he plays. I just think Schmeichel's such a calming influence right now that if you're making a lot of changes, it might be good still to have your goalkeeper there. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, I did sort of speak off air before we came on, and I thought about Sinazalo, but the more I think about it, I'd probably keep Schmeichel in situ and maybe give Sinazalo the Scottish Cup games, because Ryan made a good point. If you were going to put Sinazalo in, you would have put him in for the first League Cup game, wouldn't you, against Hibs?
Yeah.
So maybe that thought process here, but I'm inclined to agree with the team that you named, Hamish. I'm kind of along similar lines with that. I think 6 changes is enough, because that's more than half your team, but you're still keeping vital players there. Schmeichel, McGregor, Engels because he's playing in top form. But I think Ida deserves a run out. I would give him 90 minutes. Just, same Adam Ida that was overpriced at $8.5 million and wouldn't score you goals in the Champions League. And within about 5 minutes of coming on to the park in the Champions League, scored a wonderful goal. Great setup by Forrest. And I was speaking about on the pod that the thing I loved about the 5th goal was that Adam Ida, when James Forrest picks up the ball, is more or less beside him, and then he goes like that, and he points and he tells him, go outside and I'll run in there. And it's absolutely brilliant, and I love that because Ida needed that. I think his confidence needed that, but I think he got confidence in the fact that he scored against Hearts and it was disallowed. But I think he's took that on board and thought, right, I can still do this. I'm ready to do this. And he made a great impact. And I think everybody thought, okay, nice one. And he took that goal brilliantly. So I just feel he deserves to. It'd be a different type of game against Falkirk as well. So I think, my thoughts, I'm on horses for courses. I think this is a genuine horse for this course, i.e. Adam Ida, this match, because I think Falkirk might come and try and be a bit robust and and they're going to have to stand up to a lot. So I think I think it's suited to him, and lots of people saying that, I mentioned the fact the other night, and it wasn't for any kind of downer. I love Kyogo. I love what he brings. I've loved him since he started playing for Celtic. But at this moment in time, for me, he's missing a lot of sitters, and it's almost one every game. Ones you would put your house on him scoring. And I don't want it to become a worrying trend or a concern, but it could have been a concern had Slovan Bratislava equalised, because Celtic should have been out of sight by half time. So I just like Ida to get that kind of run out on Sunday and get his levels up, clinical finishing, because he's a clinical finisher. He's shown it, and I think he deserves to come on there and do his thing. And I don't think it's the worst thing that can happen to Kyogo in terms of being rotated and just say, right, you sit this one out. I just think, and then Adam Ida gives you that problem as well moving forward. If he performs on Sunday, I think that can be a good thing.
But it's so interesting looking. It's on you go, Ryan.
See the changes that I've called for. I just did a quick rough maths on my notes on my phone there. Those changes that Celtic make still equate to around about 25 million in total transfer fees. So the changes that, if they are wholesale, Celtic have paid good money for a lot of these players. Look at Trustys, £6 million. Ida, 8.5 to 9 million. Palmer, 4.5 million. Bernardo, 3.5 million. The strength and depth now is, it's not as if in times gone by you'd be bringing in a couple of the academy players and you'd maybe see the downgrade of the team ever so slightly, and you'd maybe see some players not playing to their strengths next to some youngsters. But now there seems to be that strength. We've not even spoken about the fact that Nawrocki could probably play, Yang could maybe play. These are other signings that were made last season, albeit it wasn't a good transfer window. So now they've got options in this game, and even though I think they've got to use it as an opportunity, really, to play these players and get a proper look at them in a match situation. If they're struggling in the second half, then I'd bring on the big guns in terms of Hatate, Engels, if he's not playing. But, these players, I want to see that these players are able to make an impact, not just off the bench, but in games like this, because there will be times when Celtic play on the Wednesday and then the Saturday, and there might need to be some change in the squad. I want to see that these players can actually come in and make a difference when required. It's really throwing down the gauntlet to those players that are on the fringes at the moment.
But it's so exciting from a fan's point of view, because you're looking at this game and you can't wait to see. I really want to see Trusty.
Yeah.
Who I noticed has coined his own hashtag. Did you see that? Trusty.
He's been doing that since Sheffield United. Yeah, he's been doing that since Sheffield
United.
United.
It's not quite. What was it? What was Julian's one? Hoops upside your head or something like that. Back in the day.
That's brought me back. Wow, that was a while ago.
A couple of people asking about McCowan. He's cup tied. He played in the earlier rounds for Dundee. So just
if he wasn't, I'd be putting him in the team too.
Of course he would play.
Yeah, I think
it's not for him. Yeah. So, but sorry, on you go, Hamish. Hashtags. You were on hashtags there.
No, I was moving on to Bai. I'd like to. I don't know if he's got a hashtag, but I'd quite like to see him feature. I'm really excited to see him. That's the thing.
Celtic da on you, and Vi's hashtag would be Spanish Stroll. There you go. There's an old song from a van called Mink DeVille. Lots of people will remember it. Go and Google it. You won't regret it. It's absolutely brilliant. We'll use hashtag Spanish.
I was wondering if you were going to have any Tony references this week. We got to Friday. We were doing well. It's not quite Mr. Den.
Google it. You'll love it. It's a brilliant tune. I'm not kidding. Mink DeVille, Spanish Stroll. You heard it here. Go and do it, guys. It's great. That's my hashtag for Vi, because I want to see him as well.
Imagine he plays and he's really good. He comes out, imagine he plays and you're coming away going, oh, this guy's incredible. And then suddenly you're looking at him being potentially our first team left back. I know Greg Taylor's playing really well at the moment, but that's what we could have at the weekend. We could have a performance like that. I always remember, do you remember Partick Thistle in the League Cup years ago, Jeremy Frimpong's debut? And no one really knew anything about Jeremy Frimpong, and he leapt onto the scene and he was unbelievable that night, and he ended up becoming our first team right back within weeks or months. Imagine we had a breakout like that from Vi or maybe someone like Trusty at the weekend. That's what the weekend's about for me. It's about winning the game, but also what do these guys have to show? Because we're so excited as it is, but we could have even more excitement.
Yeah,
Hamish, these guys are... Sorry, Ryan. These guys are learning beside everybody. That's a first team. It's not like a starting 11. There's a first team of about 20-odd players there. So they're all training and they're doing the same things day in, day out. They know the drill. So if the manager says to them on Sunday, right, you're getting the nod, you know what to do, and go and do it. And the guys who are getting the chance for the first time, go and enjoy it. Go and express yourselves. Be happy. Just do what we've spoken about, and your quality will shine through. Sorry, Ryan, on you go.
I've completely forgot what I was going to say. In fact, I've just remembered. Jeremy Frimpong, one of the best debuts I've ever seen, just in terms of really jumping onto the scene. We'd heard things about him and training, etc., saying that he was going to be, maybe he was going to be fast-tracked. And then you seen why he was fast-tracked into the team. The clues in the name, fast-track, fast. My goodness. He's doing so well for Bayer Leverkusen, but even 4 or 5 years ago when we watched him, we knew that he was destined for the top, that top-end elite pace that you need to have to be like a strong, athletic right-back. I just thought he was incredible that day. And he wasn't even the one that people were talking about, because it was Leo Connor was the one that got all the headlines, the Man United reserves captain.
I was going to ask you there, who were the 3 other young players that we signed that summer other than Frimpong? Leo Connor's one of them.
That's a good question. I'm usually quite good with these. Afalabi.
That was one.
Afalabi, Leo Connor, Jeremy Frimpong. There's one more, isn't there?
Yeah.
But you've stumped me. You've completely stumped me, and it'll get
Luca Connell.
So it was, yeah, Luca Connell, the lesser spotted Luca Connell. Yeah, a player that get better every passing week. A player that get better every passing week because he didn't play. It was
well done,
wild.
Steve. Steve's got it. It's a bit of a delay, Steve, but I'm assuming you got it on time. Very good.
Just goes to show you, sometimes these players come in and instantly make an impact, but that was a success story. You look at those 3 players, 1 and 3 is pretty good for that, considering the amount of money that Celtic got and that Celtic are probably going to get from Jeremy Frimpong in about a year's time. I think it'll be his last season at Leverkusen, so they've got that windfall still to come for Jeremy Frimpong that will really just add to the growing prize pot that Celtic have got in the bank at the moment. It's incredible. I always delight to see Jeremy Frimpong really push on and do well. He deserves it. He's a top class individual and a top class player as well, to go with it.
What does it say about Lis Palmer that none of us have got him in our team for Sunday? Just to throw one out there for you guys.
Tells you everything you know about Lis Palmer, doesn't it? The manager watches him in training. I get back to it, and I know Ryan's a fan. I just think he has to produce more. When the manager spoke about holding Thiago home and
Lawal
at the start, pre-season against Queen's Park, he could have labelled that at Palmer. Probably was labelling it at guys like Palmer as well. They need to produce more, and I think Lis Palmer hit a comfort zone when he had that wee purple patch, and he thought, I can do no wrong, and he was getting the plaudits and the flowers, as Ryan said, and then just stopped playing or stopped being a team player. He was playing for himself and doing selfish things, and trying to shoot and score, and when he could have played teammates in. And I don't know. I think there's a player within Palmer, but he's getting nowhere near my starting 11 at this minute in time.
Yeah,
he will be an impact sub. But until he shows me that impact is going to be enough to dislodge various members, I mean, James Forrest is in front of him for me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I think if I'm Palmer, I'm looking at Forrest and saying, okay, and Kuhn and Maida and saying, right, you can be talented. As Brendan Rodgers says, talent's not enough. You need to do the hard yards. You need to really, really produce at all levels and contributing. And I just feel that Palmer's not contributing enough, and he should be. So because there's talent there, we've seen it, but he's clearly not doing enough to get into the starting 11. And I'm happy. I'm not happy with that, but I'm happy with the manager's decision not to have him starting football matches, even on Sunday, when he probably should be one of the guys you can turn to and say you'll start. I still wouldn't start him.
But it shows how important Maida is, because I think for the majority of people, Maida would still be in the team on Sunday. So that may be a slight worry that we don't have another viable option on that side like we do with James Forrest, who, I love Nicholas Kuhn. Nicholas Kuhn right now is probably my favourite Celtic player to watch. But I'm more than happy for Forrest to come in because Forrest is looking unbelievable as well. Left-hand side, I don't want Maida out that team because I don't trust anyone else to come in and do that job.
I'd give him the opportunity on Sunday to really. Sorry about that, my dog's going mental. A squirrel in the back.
Ryan,
I think
honestly, it's always Ryan with these dogs, isn't it, Tony? What's he like?
You try to wind me up. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to be on the end of that fish hook. I would give Palmer the opportunity on Sunday. Give him that chance to really show himself. You never know. He could come onto a game and really all he just needs is this opportunity. You could say the same for Yang. To be honest, he's been so far out of it. It was nice to see him actually on the bench because it was an extended bench for the Champions League. Shows you how far away these players are from actually getting into the first team at the moment. But yeah, as you say, as much as you'd maybe like to see Palmer get a chance, get that opportunity from the start, you don't really want to take Maeda out of this team at the moment because he's a tremendous athlete. I did pose the question on Twitter yesterday, or whatever you want to call it, saying, is he the best ever athlete Celtic have had, like all-out athlete? I'm not saying player, maybe Didier Agat's up there in terms of athletes too. Yeah, but I think he's right up there because his pace, his recovery pace, his interceptions, tackles, the work rate that he puts into the team. I've never seen a player like it at Celtic. You talk about Jeremy Frimpong, and he was good going forward, but maybe he lacked a bit going the other way in defending. Maeda can do both. He plays as a left winger, so it's incredible to see him play, and he's just such an asset and a weapon for the team to have.
Ryan, that's why Palmer doesn't start. Because he should be watching him and saying, okay, I'm going to be him. I want to be him because he's an undroppable. In games against Falkirk, you still need what Maeda brings. You need everything about Maeda. You need the attitude. And you see for attitude alone, Palmer should be saying, okay, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Because I know I would be saying that. Because if the manager's he's not selecting you for a reason, and you have to bang down his door and say, what's the reason here? And I think you would be playing Palmer in the hope that he turns it on.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not playing any players in the hope that they turn it on. If I'm starting 11, I'm saying you better turn it on. You have to turn it on, and you know what's required to turn it on. You've been training with us since pre-season. We've been drilling it into you, so you should know. So I just don't think Palmer at the minute, for whatever reason, there might be underlying reasons there, but that's why the manager isn't playing him and he's only getting bit parts. So, and I think as a case study, just watch Maeda and everything he brings to this football club, and he just looks like he's a top lad as well, doesn't he? He just looks like a guy you go for a beer with. You know what I mean? I like it. Everything else that he brings to this football club, he just looks like a guy that you'd want on this pod and chew the cud with. Everything about him is a representation of Celtic that you love and you adore, and as a fan you buy into that. And I want Palmer to be that kind of person because they play in similar positions and they're talented boys.
My only response to that is, if not Sunday, then when is Palmer going to get his opportunity to play? I just think it's the perfect game for him to come on and show, what Celtic have been, or maybe what he himself has been missing out on in terms of his form. Because I just think it's the perfect game for him. I don't think, as much as Maeda's work rate is brilliant, I'd rather keep that for league games. I don't think they'll necessarily need the work rate against Falkirk. That's no disrespect to a formed team in the Championship at the moment. I just think if you throw down the gauntlet to Lis Palmer, let's see how he responds to it. You never know. He could come onto a game and really pose a...
Oh, yeah. Wi-Fi's cutting out, Ryan.
I think I was cut off there, sorry. I don't know if Dyson Maeda's hijacked my internet connection. You're not playing at the weekend, but I would give him that opportunity.
He's just frozen. There we go. It's going to be interesting.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I think it's the answer to the question, when does his chance come? It probably comes off the bench in games, and he's probably going to have to do something special to then earn more game time. I think that's where Lis Palmer is. Right now, anyway, I thought I would chuck that in at the end, and we got a good few minutes debate between you two about it. So a positive move. We'll have Brendan Rodgers speaking again, I assume, later today. I know they sometimes after the midweek games do this stuff on that evening, but I assume he's got an actual press conference today.
He does.
Yeah.
The player and manager are up today.
It's got to be Austin Trusty today. Surely he's going to get a press conference to show his world-class interviewing skills. He's not. He's the only player that hasn't actually addressed the media out of the new signings.
He's meant to be a very good speaker as well. Like, he's meant to be like very confident and really positive. So it's interesting that he's not had that yet. As time goes on, it seems more or less and less likely. But yeah, we might get that today. We'll certainly get Brendan Rodgers, and you guys will do videos throughout the weekend, I guess.
Yeah, we'll do one pre and post match on Sunday, as well as our press conference reaction a little bit later on today, once we hear from the player and manager, once they speak to the media. But yeah, there's plenty of videos coming out this weekend. Keep a wee lookout on for 12 o'clock, or for a video coming out at 12 o'clock on my tactical breakdown of the Bratislava game. If you're not already a member, please press that join button, £2.99 a month, and you'll get all of those exclusive benefits that are running at the bottom of the screen at this point in time.
And also on the videos, episode 7 of Grand Old Teams out as well. If you want to have a look at that with myself and Kevin, we talk about Atletico Madrid and Racing Club of Argentina and Rapid Vienna. Swear words to a lot of Celtic supporters. Certainly swear words to Kevin, but we had good fun with that. So if you want to check out, that's on the YouTube channel as well. So thanks to everybody that's tuned in already. Cheers, Hamish.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, commenting, etc. Great numbers again. And yeah, as I say, the guys will be back throughout the weekend. I will speak to you all on Monday.